This version of you, this time last year, will be so proud of you. And somehow we've forgotten it. We tend to look towards the end of the year thinking, oh my goodness, I've not achieved this, I haven't done this. Like there is so much that I could have, would have, could have, should have done, right? But when we really sit back and think, my goodness, last year, where was I? Like, what was I? We just we forget like how we used to be, all the version of us then that we somehow have normalized. Like it's now kind of like, it just is like something that we couldn't do before and now we did, and it's just kind of like, yeah, but still waiting for that start like starlight or whatever it is, that like particular thing. And when I like, just sitting back and just reflecting and thinking of like, my goodness, the me of last year wishing and hoping and wanting, and the me now that it's in that congruence, in that like knowing, like it's inevitable. Whereas me last year would just be so proud of like, my goodness, we weren't sure about ourselves. We weren't like certain on certain things of like if it's possible. And now, like, it's a whole different story ball game, like how I see myself or how we just tend to forget how far we've come. You know that statement, we overestimate what we can achieve in a year and underestimate what we can do in five or whatever. And it's so true. It's like we say we want to do all these many things that when it comes to that year later, we forget that actually the increment, like the things that we've been doing through the process, the things that we've been um achieving or like following through on, like how far like that has come. Because we just negate the growth and just feel like, yeah, it just feels normal. It just feels like anything else. And we somehow just judge our progress of like expecting the things external to change. So we feel like, yeah, nothing has happened. Whereas if we look back, when we see ourselves of a year ago and how we as a person, our identity, our beliefs, or how we've grown, or how things has evolved for us, then we really take that time to just think like, my goodness. This time last year, I wasn't sure of myself. Now I can. Or there were certain things that I wouldn't do that I'm now doing, and we don't really see or just notice the difference of then and now. And it's just this blurred line of like life is life in, without actually taking the time to acknowledge how far we've come. It is so, so fascinating when you like really take the time to reflect and be thankful for like and our past self will be so proud of how far we've come, of how we now respond differently to things that would like just throw us off or like be such a huge thing for us, or the or how we would now pause than go into spiral of like, oh my goodness, I can't do this, I'm freaking out. And like now it's just a numb. I saw a reel of another colleague who was just talking about when is that time that you say like when you start learning, say sign language to interpret or whatever, how you struggle, how it's so difficult, how it's like, I'm not sure of like what I'm doing. And then when do you actually now, oh, I get it. I understand what you're saying. And it's just, and it's so true because when you like, okay, that could take some people years, but when you like really look at it, like maybe there's this particular domain that you go into, and then a year later, it's like, hi, hi. It's just like, you're so no like it becomes like second nature. It becomes like that. So when we're now looking for this big picture thing of like, oh gosh, I didn't do or say or whatever that I wanted to do, but when we really like look at those micro moments, those things that we've actually done, that our past self will be so proud of how far we've grown in the year. When we're reflecting and instead of beating ourselves down that we haven't achieved all the things you said we're going to do, but actually what we've done in terms of like listening to our nervous system or like those voices, like quieting it down or like taking that stand, saying no or like saying yes, me, like all those small things that those growths that have happened that we just feel like, ah, it's time to like really start acknowledging and celebrating those small wins, celebrating those things that we feel like, not sure about that. Like how quickly we recover. Like how, like I remember like when something happens, I would just be like, pity on me, I'll be like dwelling in it. Like I always have this thing where like I'll be like, there's this phrase like 5 second madness. Mine used to be like 5 hours or like a day of like just soaking or whatever. And then the ability now to just be like, huh, let it go, whatever. Like snapping out. To some, it's like it's an internal thing, but it's not like, oh, wow. But those things like that before you overthink and overthink, and now it's like you're able to just like decide. Those are micro wins that we need to start. Our past self will celebrate that really need to acknowledge. I know that things are moving on. We're actually doing stuff. We're not just, bleh. Something's happening. Let's acknowledge, let's accept that. Being at the ability to trust ourselves more, the ability to do the things that we say we're going to do. Those are no small things. And those are things that our past self will be so proud of how far we've come than thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to this next year, this will happen, that will happen. Acknowledge how far you've come. Acknowledge the growth that has happened. It is no small thing, the becoming of who you are. It's like that's huge. And that's what that version of ourselves would would be so proud of that we don't even realize and acknowledge. So let's really like take the time to understand that growth is steady. It's not always loud. It takes that momentum and sometimes even so quiet that you don't even realize that, wow, you've actually grown from something or some like it's happening. The becoming of us, it doesn't just it's not like a ta-da, here I am her, she who's done. No, it's those small incremental things that are happening through the process. It's like people always focus on the destination. They don't focus on the journey that gets them to that destination. Those things that are happening, those things that we're doing, it just kind of, it's normal. It's like, yeah, but it's huge. It's huge that we need to acknowledge and be so proud of what we've done and achieved. It is like so powerful that I really want us to take that time to reflect. And what I would love for you to do today is to like, what is the moment like today that you have now steadied yourself in, or something has happened that last year would have taken you on a spiral place, or would have just been a totally different. Like, what is that thing today that you'd be like, oh wow, I can now. This is new. Like, leave in a comment section. Let's carry on the conversation and just see how far we've come and let's celebrate that together. Till tomorrow. Bye for now.